Hello everybody and welcome to my Google Drive file management interactive video. As I said, this is an interactive video, so I'll be asking you to do certain things in the video to your Google Drive. So in order to do that, you'll have to have a device that you can watch this video from as you're doing right now, and you'll also have to have your desktop or laptop computer nearby so that you can actually carry out the instructions that the video will ask you to do. So if you don't have that stuff set up, go ahead and take the time, get that set up right now, pause the video, and then come back and we'll continue with the first part of the video. All right, so presuming you have everything set up and ready to go, first we need to get you logged into your Google Drive. So if you're not already logged in, go to drive.google.com and using your school credentials, log in with the provided username and password and arrive at your Google Drive as I have already done, as you can see. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is how we create a folder and folders to help manage the contents of your Google Drive. As you can see, my Google Drive has these files that just sort of sit out in the open. And then I've also created these 3 files here to help me organize some things. And if I want to make more folders to my Google Drive, I simply go to New and choose Folder and give my folder a name. Let's say this folder is for my B1 class. So I'll simply type in B1, click on Create, and now added to my folder list at the top, I have a new folder here called B1. What I'd like you to do right now is create a new folder for your Google Drive and name it whatever it is you want to name it. All right, so the next thing we need to talk about is how we get things onto our Google Drive. I have, and let me go ahead and minimize, I have the typical desktop, which is a complete mess. And let's pretend that I want to start organizing my desktop and getting some of these files backed up onto my Google Drive. So to get any of those files or even folders saved onto my Google Drive, it's a simple process. All I need to do is pick a file that I want to add onto my Google Drive. For example, let's say I want to add this coding in the classroom file. I simply click on the file and I drag, and notice I have a little prompt that came up on my screen saying drop files to instantly upload them to my drive. When I let go, that file now has been added to my Google Drive. It's that easy. If I want to add a folder to my Google Drive, I would simply choose the folder that lives wherever it lives. It could be on the desktop, it could be on the C drive, the H drive, a flash drive, wherever it is. Pick a folder, simply select it, and again, drag it on top of your Google Drive. And again, just let go, and now that folder has been uploaded to my Google Drive as well. So it's a simple drag and drop process, and the files are moved, not actually moved, but copied from wherever they were onto your Google Drive. So when I maximize now, I have a folder called Math Videos that was also, it still is also on the desktop of my computer. And I also have a file here called Coding in the Classroom that also still lives on my desktop computer, but now I have 2 different copies of those. All right, what I would like you to do right now is I'd like you to go ahead and take a file that lives on your desktop or on your H drive or on a flash drive or on your C drive, somewhere on your computer, and copy it onto your Google Drive. So pause the video and give that a shot. All right, so now that we have some files added onto our Google Drive from the desktop or from wherever you had them saved originally, let's talk about how we get them moved into certain places on our Google Drive. For example, I have this coding in the classroom file here. I'd like to get this file from just sitting on my Google Drive into a folder on my Google Drive. I'd like to move it into this B1 folder. Watch how easy this is to do. We simply drag it and let go, and now that file lives in my B1 folder. All right, what I would like you to do is pick a file that you have on your Google Drive and drag it into one of the folders that you have created on your Google Drive. Go ahead and pause the video and give that a try. All right, one of the things that you might want to do with one of the files that's on your Google Drive is make a copy of it. For example, I have this file here entitled A1 Class Expectations. If I wanted to make a file that's very similar to that file without tampering with the original file, I might want to make a copy of this file. Super easy to do that using your Google Drive. You simply right-click on the file that you want to make a copy of and choose Make a Copy. And notice it gives me a little status report here. And in a second, as you can see, a new version of that file lives now on my Google Drive, and it's called copy of A1. So I'd like you now to take any file that's on your Google Drive and make a copy of it. Go ahead and pause the video and give that a try. All right, so now that you have a copy of that file that you just copied, I'd like to rename it. I don't want to call it copy of A1 class expectations. I want this to be my B1 class expectations file. So I'm going to change the name of it. Super easy to do this. We simply right click on that file, choose rename, and now we can rename the file whatever we want. So I said I wanted to call this one B1 class expectation, so I'm going to go ahead and rename it as such and click OK. And now I have a new file on my desktop called on my Google Drive called B1 class expectations to go along with my A1 class expectations. All right, I'd like you to go ahead and rename that file that you just made a copy of as well. Name it whatever you'd like. Go ahead and pause the video and give that a shot. All right, we're going to talk about another wonderful thing that you can do with your Google Drive files and folders, and that is share them with anybody who has a Google account. So to get a file shared with one of your colleagues or even with students, we simply pick the file we want to share. Let's say I want to share this B1 class expectations with one of my colleagues. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that file. I'm going to right click on that file and I'm going to choose share. All I need now to do is provide the name or the email address of the person that I want to share this with. So I'm going to go ahead and type in one of my colleagues' names. And then I simply tell it what kind of rights I want them to have. Do I want them to be able to edit this? Do I want them to be able to just make comments or just straight up view it? I'm going to go ahead and leave it on edit so they can actually open this file that lives on my Google Drive and actually make changes to it at the same time that I'm able to make changes to it. We can do it simultaneously. So now that I've added the person's name and given them the proper rights that I want, I can also put a little message in here if I wanted to, and I'd simply hit send. And now that person will get a notification that this particular file has been shared with them. All right, what I'd like you to do is pick one of the files that lives on your Google Drive and go ahead and right click and share that file with any one of your colleagues that you would like to share a file with. Go ahead and pause the video and share your file. All right, here's one of the interesting things about Google Drive. I have a Word document that lives on my Google Drive. And when I go ahead and choose to open this from my Google Drive, I'm going to go ahead and double click on it and open it. It gives me just a view of that Word document. But I can't actually make any changes to it right now until I choose up at the top right here to open it. And I have some choices. I could open it with one of these other options, but I'm just going to simply choose open here, and it's going to open this Word document using Google Docs. And it takes a moment for this to happen sometimes. It's got to convert the Word filing and formatting and everything to the Google Doc file and format. So here I have the original Word document now opened using Google Drive. And as you can see now, because I have all my tools and I have a cursor flashing, I can go ahead and make changes to this if I want to. Rather than characteristics of an effective learning target, I'm just going to put in a new title, an effective learning target. All right, so all I have to do now is just close that tab and go back to my Google Drive. Let me refresh it real quick. And what actually happened is now I have two different versions of that file. I have the Word characteristics of an effective learning target right here. That's the file that I just opened a second ago. And then I have this version right here, which is a Google Docs version of that exact same file. So what happens when you open a Word document that lives on your Google Drive and you use Google Docs to open that Word document is it creates a duplicate of the original, and that duplicate is a Google Docs document. So the original file, this file, has been left unchanged, but I have this one, which is the modified version of this one. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that's what happens if you were to open a Word document. Same idea if you were to open an Excel document using Google Sheets. It would create a duplicate document of it as a Google Sheets document, and the original Excel file would stay unchanged. All right, so how do I delete something? I have a few files on here I want to get rid of. Very easy to delete a file. I simply right-click on that file, choose Remove, and the file goes away. I'm going to go ahead and right-click on this one and delete this one as well. Right-click, Remove, and the file goes away. Now, it hasn't actually deleted from the computer. It just now lives inside the trash can right here. And if I wanted to completely get rid of it, I'd go to the trash can and I would right-click on that object and choose Delete Forever. I could also choose Restore, and it would remove itself from the trash can and go back into my drive. Okay, what I would like you to do is delete any one of the files that you have living on your Google Drive that you don't need, obviously. Go ahead and delete any of the files that live on your Google Drive. Pause the video and see if you can do that. All right, sometimes we want to take files that live on our Google Drive and save them on the desktop of our computer or put them on a flash drive or something like that. And it's very easy to do that as well. Let's say, for example, I want to take this file and I want to share it with somebody else, or I want to put it on the desktop of this particular computer. So I simply right-click on that object and I choose Download. And now notice down here it says Converting to Word, and here's the file that's just been downloaded onto my computer. And actually, it just goes right into my downloaded folder. So it's super easy to take a file that lives on your Google Drive, your cloud, and save it locally onto the computer that you have. Once it gets saved into my downloaded folders, I can then make a copy of it and put it on a flash drive, or I can put it on the desktop or put it wherever I want. What I'd like you to do right now is go ahead and right-click on any file that you have on your Google Drive and choose Download and download a copy of it onto your computer. I'll give you a minute to do that. Go ahead and pause and give it a try. All right, one of the handy dandy things that you can do on Google Drive is to change the view of the documents that live on your Google Drive, the files and folders. And you should simply click on this button right here, which changed from like a folder view to a list view. Now I can see all of my files, but I can also see who owns them, and I can also see when they were last modified. And I can also see how big the files are as well. So it shows me the file size if it is a Word document. If it's a Google Doc, it doesn't really care how big it is because you have unlimited storage space on your Google Drive, so it really doesn't matter. To return back to the normal view that you're used to, the grid view, simply click on the icon you just clicked on a second ago, and it takes you back to your original view that you were looking at from a minute ago. Okay, so let's talk about how we access new files and determine where they're going to get saved. So let's click on the New button, and then I'm going to click on Google Doc. So I'm going to make a brand new Google Doc. Here it is, and this is going to be my autobiography. And I'll give this a name. I'll call it autobiography. And I'm going to go ahead and type my autobiography, blah, 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 blah. All right, so that's my wonderful autobiography. That's really more than I've actually accomplished in my life, just kidding. But let's go ahead and get this thing saved. Now, normally, all you'd have to do is simply close the tab and it automatically saves everything you've done to your Google Drive. And it just sort of sits on your Google Drive. It doesn't have a particular place that it's going to yet. You can, however, tell it where you'd like to save it to by going to File in the menu bar and tell it to organize. So by clicking on Organize, you can say, do you want it just to live on your Google Drive, or do you want this file to go into one of the folders that you've created on your Google Drive? Let's say I want to put it in my B1 folder, so I'll choose my B1 and hit Move. And now when I close this file and go back to my Google Drive, I don't see my autobiography file sitting out here. I have to go into my B1 folder to see my autobiography file living there. So what I'd like you to do right now is go ahead and open a new Google Doc, type whatever you want in there, name it whatever you want, but then save it to a particular place on your Google Drive, for example, one of the folders that you have created. Go ahead and give that a try. All right, that does it for file management on your Google Drive. I hope this video was extremely informative and valuable for you. Have a great day, everybody.